gonna do a little video here to show you what I got going on. This is I updated my numbers for midday today, and I've got a chart back behind here that is gonna show you what I do. And I do this, I actually do it for the MS slide, the SFS slide, and so far I've got the first two in the third and fourth position. I'm still trying to put in all the information for the fifth position. This is just one of the ways that I've been fairly consistent on getting some wins or narrowing down the MS and the FS slides. So, with that being said, basically you go up here to your MS and you right click it. I started doing the first position, but as you can see, it's pretty well known on what's going to happen in the first position for the most part. So I haven't been tracking it because I can pretty much, I don't know, I have a good feeling for when it's going to change here. So I've been only doing the right digit only. Uh, but back on page 21 of the Sling post, that person that posted was going, I believe, sideways on the numbers, and they was eliminating what has hit versus what's due to hit. Well, these play up and down. It might work going sideways. I can't see that myself, so I'm going this way. Uh, and I started off to the far right over here. I put a notepad next to it, and I basically look at the first two digits that I can see. So from this last column over here to the next column over, it's been the same, a change, and the same. So it was a same change same. So then I painstakingly done this each and every position. You don't have to go back this far by any means. You can actually start, roughly over in this area and then work your way sideways. The reason I say that is I actually have a draw that is 20 draws out, which is this SCS up here. So you would think that that SCS is due to hit. If you scroll down through the whole series, this is my master slide to the right. If you look at my series, you can see that it's long hits between them for a few draws, and then it starts to warm up again. And you can see how often it's, three out there, and then it goes another little stretch, and then it's three out again. It's went another little stretch to there, and then it went another long stretch to there, another long stretch there, then it was four out, and then it hit back to back, and then it was four out. So I I'm not putting my money on this one here. I'll wait until it hits again, and then I might play it when it's four out again. I don't expect it to come back to back. I mean, yeah, it's going to happen, but I wouldn't put my money on it. So basically, what I'm doing here is keeping track of how far out they are, and I want the two coldest positions that are out. So in this particular case, it'd tell me to play the 20 and the 8. But because I'm not putting my money on the SCS until I see it hit again, I'm going to put my money on the next two out. So that means that it would be an SCC or it would be a CSS. And when I updated my draws, and I'm in the master slide up here, so I went over here. Let me see. Let me bring my notebook back up. I went over here. You can see that the draw before was a change, 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 which is that one right there, which is my change, change, change. So the very next draw you're looking for the 8 or the 7 to come. So you got basically two choices, the SCC or the CSS. So at that point, you know, you only have two choices to make. In this particular case, it was the change, same, same. So the CSS came. If you look at this particular pattern right here, I'll scroll it down so you can actually stop and look. You can pick, start up here and literally do a little. These are all the possible choices, is all this is over here. This is just the possible choices. This column is how many games out it is. Down through here on this list, you can see that 7 out of 10 times, maybe 8 out of 10 times, it is one of the two that are out the most. Like I said, I don't consider this one because it's just one that doesn't hit as often, although it's hit in a little string right through there, or right through here. It hit in a little string, but it's long time in between. The next one was way up here, and the next one was way up here. So it goes a long string between hitting. So I'm not gonna put my name. I'm not gonna put money on one that doesn't hit as consistent as the rest of them. I color coded these to help see where they're at. Easier to count them out that way. So you can see like the purple one here is 4 games out. So 1, 2, 3, it was 4 games out. Now we're still looking for the one down here. So like I said, if you use the two that are the longest out, 7 or 8 out of 10 times you'll see where that is actually the case. Every now and then you're going to see a pattern to where it hits like this the CSC will hit 4 games out and then hit 2 games out. The CSS, 2 games out, 2 games out. That seems to be pretty consistent, but it changes. Up toward the top. If you look up here at the top, when one hits, skip a draw and it'll hit again. This one here hit. It skipped a draw and hit again. And then it skipped a draw and hit again, then it hit back to back, and then it hit again 4 draws later, skipped a draw and hit again, and then it went cold. After it went cold, it went, after it hit, then it went out 5 or 6 games there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, and then come back. Then it went out another little stretch, hit again, and then come back. But you can see when one hits, generally 4 games, it's going to hit again. If it doesn't hit, instead of here, play it to hit the next time. At the same time, you can see where they do hit back to back. That is hit back to back. This one here is every other. This one here is back to back. At the same time, it is every other. You can see, hit every other, back to back, back to back, every other. So you see the pattern that I'm kind of looking for, but at the same time, every time you see, you can go down through this little list right here and literally count the ones that are out. Just put a count beside wherever you start until all of them have a position or all of them have a number, and pick the two coldest ones, and you'll see that the two coldest ones actually hit more often than not. So with that being said, that was that one. Obviously, I would have done the change same as one of my setups. So I would have ended up having this one as my right digit. My left digit, obviously, we already know what it is. But if you count up your how many times when it's this in here is going to be a come back as a 2. So I'm looking for something over here that is going to be a change. So what's going to come down here, and this is in the left position. I'm going to look for the ones that have a C in the last position. And then I'm going to update my little list right here whenever I update this. So when I put my CSS down for today's draw that I haven't updated yet, and then put my color code in there to match my color, now I'm going to recount them. So this one here is going to get a 0. Uh, and then I'll count how many times, the next one, which is the CCC, which was 4 draws out. So that one's going to go from a 0 to a 4. And then I'll go to the SCS. How many times was the SCS out? It went a little stretch before it hit again. And it done that right up here too. So that's another one, or the, what I say, SSS, SSC, the SSC. It went several draws. But I'll make a note of how many games that it's out as well. But I generally start with the one that I can see that is out the most. So I know that that one there is now going to be a 21 because it's just not a good one. So after that one, I'll sit here and look at the SSC and see how many games it's out. So it's going to get a 3. The SCC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 games out. Actually, 9 from the time it hit. The SSS is 4 games. It'll be 5 games. The CCC is only 2 games. The CSS is 4 games. And the CSS should be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So now I'm looking for one of them. I'm looking for 2 of them to give me an idea to play, which is going to be the SCC and the CSC. And you can tell, or you can see that chances are one of these 2, if I'm right on my last position over here, to actually change. I expect that to come back as a 2. So I only have 2 options as far as out the longest, and they both have a C at the end. So now I'm going to look at the next position up. Is it going to be a C or an S? So I'm going to go back over here and look at the next position up. Is it going to be a C or an S? That one's going to be a C. So now I'm looking for the number 9. That one right there. So for my decision, it's going to be the SCC. So that's going to be a same, which will be a 2, and then a 2, and a 2. So it says 2, 2, 2. I don't like that. That's going to be a 1. Yeah, 1. It's going to be a 22. It can be a 62, I guess, but because it's not got any averages higher than that, I don't expect that to be correct. So I'm going to look back over here at the CSC. Oops. See, it generally only has 1 skip in between before it goes back to the 1. So that should actually be a 1. So that one's going to be a change. This one here is likely that it'll come back as 2 hits, 2 hits, 2 hits, 2 hits. So we're going to say that it's going to be the 7 out. It's going to be the change, same change. So whenever we do the master slide, but you do these power slides down here the same way. So it's going to be a change, a same, and then a change. Actually, that ain't right either because that's going to be a 1. That one's going to be a 2. And that one's, oops, going to be a 2. I was actually looking for the right side digit because these are the right digits. I started to do the left digits, and you can see where most of these, there's just not a big spread of options. It's either the same, or the change. And when I went through that many of them and it never changed, I decided, that's you got two choices. It's either going to be the same, or a change. 9 out of 10 times. So with that being said, the 7, which was what this one was 7 out before it hit. And now this in here again is because I'm using two of them that are the longest out, not counting the actual one that's the longest out just because it's a ridiculous amount out. It's been 21 games since it's hit. Yeah, it's going to hit again, and yeah, it could cost me the drawing. But until it hits again and starts to show another streak, I will not put my money on this particular SCS. I will only play the next two out, and then I try to eliminate one of them. And in this particular case, I'm going to go with the CSC. So whenever I go up here, I go C, which is going to be a change. So now I got to decide whether it's going to be the 2 or the 3. So I generally will highlight 2 or 3 of these and see that the 3 hits most often as far as the bias search goes. That's the one I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick the 3. So it's going to be a change, a same, and a change. I believe that's what it was. Change, same, change. So that's going to be my master slide value right there. Now, with that being said, I like to go over to my LotSoft and go to my master slide. Crap. No, that's for my Florida game. I'm sorry, I can't go to that one. I go to my Excel sheet. Let's let this load up. Takes a couple seconds for this program to load. And I will go over to my master slide. This, I want to go to the analysis. I want to slide over here to my master slide settings, which are going to be over here, the values over here. Uh, I like looking at the ones that are obviously going to be a little easier, which are step values. You can see everything in the first two positions is always zeros. So I know that in my Rogue Master slide, I go over here and reset everything. Come back over here to the Master slide, and I'm doing the even odd. So I want to go to the even odd. I take a quick look at what I'm looking at, how many hits before it changes, to a 0, how many hits, and then it only hits one time and goes a big long stretch and only changes one time in the third position. So I'm going to go to the even odd over here in the master slide switch. Master slide. Uh, this in here is a little harder to determine which one it is, but I believe it's these squares right here. So this one here was going to be a 1, so I eliminate the 0. Then I'll go back over here to the analysis and look and see what I think going to be the next position. Excuse me. I'm going to put a 0-0 as a back-to-back. Let's see what we got there. So I'll go over here, put a 0, and put a 0. And then I'll look over here and see what my slide settings are. I thought it was going to be a 28 if this setup was right. Or no, I'm looking for it for my next value, ain't I? Sorry. Been a long, hot day out in the sun today. So my next value was going to be a change, and I think it was a 3, a same, and a change. So yeah, it was going to come back to a 28. 28 again is what I believed my setting was going to be. And over here, I'm not showing a 28. So chances are one of these is wrong. Uh, it may not come back as a 28. I don't know. These could be right, and I could be wrong on my change, same change. On my, so it looks like to me 110. So if I go back over here and look at the odd even for a 110, 110. I look and see how long, what the skips are in between each one of them. Does that look feasible to come out? Uh, but I'm still trying to learn this. He just sent it to me either yesterday or this morning. So I'm actually still trying to learn what I need to look at here. I can also look over here at my same and change to see what kind of patterns that run there. Looks like the same and change come back to back. So it's very possible that that's a 100. If that's the case, I probably want to change this over here to a 26 instead of a 28. It could come down further than that, but see what just hit. 32. Yeah, I don't know if it'll come down that much or not. So I'm still kind of liking the 28 actually, versus what the Excel sheet showed. So I'm going to stick with my 28 as my value. Over here, the FS slide, I do the same thing with my spreadsheet. I was doing, actually, I've got it. Actually, I don't have it. I was working on the power slides. I haven't color coded them yet. You can see where I've entered in 117 of them, I think, for each slide. This is power slide 3, 4, and I was getting ready to start on 5 until my wife decided we was going to meet the grandchildren and the children down at the boat docks, eat dinner on the water. So, but this is my Lexi positions. I'm doing the same thing. Haven't been color coding them yet. Uh, I've been keeping track of these from since about up here, but I haven't been working it. I have been working my P3 only to get consistent with one of them before I move on to the next. This was my P3 sum, which was the third position, and this is my fifth position. I was looking at them to decide what my sums would be. That way, whenever I'm over here, and if this was my setting, and I wheel these, if it gives me too many sets right over here, then I'm going to go back over here and look at these and see see what's working here. You can see where they're back to back. One misses and then another couple back to back, couple back to back, couple back to back, and then you can see where it's actually hit 4 times in a row. So if it was the previous draw, which this is not updated yet, I would have put the same in my power slide over here. So I would have made everything the same. I don't know if that, I'm not sure what the number was today. So wheel them, it was 076 was my winning number. So I didn't have the 076. I had a 476, but not an 076. Uh, so obviously that wasn't correct, was it? That should have been a 5. No, back some. Yeah, 13. That should have been a 5 instead of a 4. So it wasn't the same. Something changed, I guess, on that. But hopefully this gives you an idea of what I'm looking for. I didn't mean that one. I want this one here. So uh, I said a 2, 2, and a 1, which give me a 4, when in fact it should have been a 2, 1, 2. It should have been a same, change, change. So it should have been a same, change, change, which is not showed up yet on this particular list. I don't know how far out it would have been. That was my back pair. So that one there is the same change, change. Uh, and then my sums. So I'm actually just now updating my numbers. So we'll close that out and look at the sums. 076 was 13, so it's also going to be, oh, it's going to be a 4. 13, it should have been a 4. 076, 13, that is a 4. It should have been a 4. Okay, I'll have to look back into that for a minute. I don't know why. That should have been a 4. And if everything else here was correct, oh, I changed that. It hit was a 32 instead of a 28. Okay. So whenever I had that 4 there a while ago, so it is going to be a same, same, same. See, when things don't look right, you always got to check yourself. You made a wrong mistake somewhere. It only gave me with 4 sets, and that was setting 1 over here and then having these 2. So if I would have played today, 076, there it is. So that was if I'd have set these 2 correctly. And you can see, like I said, I would have, the previous draw before this, where my CSS, if I'd have backed that up a little bit, you'll see where it was out. It was a number 7 down here. So it was like an 8 here and a 7 here. So I played the 2 out longest, not counting the actual out the longest. So I was, I'm just eliminating that one because it's so far out. So I was only looking at the two previous to that. So with that being said, you could have set your settings here and here and then done one power slide, which was the back pair, and only had 4 sets. So if the other power slide would have said that this was going to be a 28 and you wheeled that, that would have give you 11 sets, so you could have bought 15 tickets and still had the straight within the 15 tickets because you would have changed this one setting. Instead of that, you would have, picked that. So with using the 2 out longest ones, it still only produced 15 tickets. So there was 11 there, would have missed because it obviously hit as a 32. And then whenever you know done that, then you see where your win is. So, with that being said, I've already been rattling enough. I hope you understand what I'm doing. You just you don't have to go back as many draws as I did. Uh, just go back 10 or 15. I would suggest probably 15 draws. Obviously, there's one that goes out longer than that. Most of them probably don't go out. Your state may not go out that long. So if you go back 15 draws until when you do each one of them positions, give each one of these a count. So just from this position, count how many times that green one has hit. So the green one has hit, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So you go down here and put a 4 down there, and then so you can see how many times to until each one of these has a number. I'm just gonna throw a few numbers down. Uh, just to give you kind of an idea. Obviously, this in here is going to be a 0 because it didn't show up. But then if I see a 1 and a 1, and then say another 6 and a 7, now my 2 longest out, not counting that top one, would probably be that one and that one. So basically, you're counting them until you have two of them. Is what I normally look for. Is I try to find two of them that have a 0 or a 1, and them two would be the ones that I would play. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Uh, it's been pretty consistent for me. Test it for your state. Just go back, just eliminate the last three or four, don't count them, and go back up, 15 draws from there, and then work down your 15 and see what the next one would have been to see if you'd have been right on your decision. Add that one in, do a recount, and then see if your next one would have been right by looking for the next, two highest. You can do that by, putting it on a little sheet, do it by hand, whatever works for you. But you can see if you look at this chart, you can see which ones were out the longest. You can kind of, eliminate this little count chart right here and start, say right there, the last time that one hit, start counting them, mark them off as if you just put a 1 beside it. So if we're starting right here and we're going to look down at the very next one, we got a 1 because that hit. Down next to that, we got a 1 because that hit. Next to that, we got a 1. Then we have a 1. Another one. That was the SSS. SCS is already done, so the SSC is done. That's down to that point. So now I have two out. And I know that this one here is not going to come. And that was what? Down to that one right there. So I have basically I have two choices at this point in time for that particular draw. Uh, so with me not counting this one right here, the yellow one, just because of the lack of showing up, I would have wanted to find my next two. Uh, but once this one here hits, which the one that was out the longest next was actually that one right there. So it skipped a draw before it came, but it would have been at the top of the longest out list. So you just keep doing your recount. Go back, see what your recount was. This one here was the next one that was out the second longest because this one here was out the longest. This one out was out the second longest right here. And then we had one of them every other hit scenarios here to where it was not out the longest. And then we go to the next one down here. Uh, you always have to look at your every other hit or every what was out four times because that's kind of consistent too. So you can see here again where it skipped every other. Just something to look at, and then go from there to see what was out next and what was out next. That CCC was at the top of the list right there. Like I said, it's not going to be consistent every draw. Sometimes you can do a process of elimination by just looking at the last position to see whether it's going to be a C or an S, the last two positions, because they're easier to determine than that first position. So if you can just do the last two positions, I think you'll gain ground on it right there and start making better decisions, better choices, and hopefully fill up your pockets. So, with that being said, I'm going to call this a video. I've scrambled on for 34 minutes and you're bored of watching it and you got the ideas. So, good luck to everybody. Let me know how bad you like it.